Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. Welcome to Lincoln Ware Live. We're here every Sunday morning from 10 until 11. And boy, we got an action-packed show for you today. Am I still on? I don't know. But anyway, I'll keep talking. My guests, Sandra Vogel, Darr from the E-Women Network. We'll talk about that. So women, you better get your pens, better get your paper, because we've got a lot of great information to pass along to you about that. Plus, this week coming up is Lead Poison Awareness Week. We've got the Cincinnati Health Department on the show. We'll tell you some steps you can take to make sure your home is not filled with lead. And we'll talk to them. Plus, we've got Alicia Reese she's the vice president, no, she's the assistant director of tourism for the state of Ohio. We'll talk about some things Ohio is doing to try to lure tourists to this great state of ours. So we've got an action-packed show, and I want you to stick around and get involved right here on Lincoln Ware Live this morning. Now, my first guest, Sandra Vogel, Darr, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Sandra, your husband is my chiropractor, so
praise God.
Hey, I tell you, he stretches me out every now and then out at Dr. Wells.
Thank you.
Doing all right. Now, tell me a little bit about the E-Women Network. What is it all about?
We are a networking group for women, and we do more than networking, but basically we've been in business here in Cincinnati for about 5 years, and the E-Women Network is a national, international program for women connecting and promoting women in business.
Okay, so if there's a woman out there who wants to get into business, but she said, I just can't get started. I need some help putting this whole thing together, and I need a little bit of financial help, they can come to the E-Women Network and you'll get them on the right track.
We can get them on the right track and help also connect them with local Cincinnati resources who do things like financing. And we have many women who have walked this path before, so they can be mentored and shepherded along the way.
So how did you get involved with this?
I got involved several years ago. I was asked to be a guest speaker in the Dayton area. And from that, it just led to forming the Cincinnati chapter.
Okay. Now, Lauren, do you have a business also?
I do.
Okay.
I have a marketing communications company.
And you got started the same way, or how did you get involved with E-Women Network?
I got involved just through networking with other women and hearing about it and hearing that they had great events and attending those events. And as Sandra said, it's a network of multimedia opportunities, and from my perspective, I was most interested in the publishing aspects of E-Women, and so it's been a great journey, and I've been involved for about 2 years.
Now, what if the female does not want to start a business, but she's a professional worker? Right. How do you get involved with just professional people?
Just professional people come to our events. Women that don't have their own businesses are still welcome because we're networking women to women, referring business to each other and also helping each other, because we believe that we should be giving resources and information to each other, and not only will we help people in their businesses, but also getting new jobs.
Okay.
I mean, women come to our networking events and say, I don't have a job, and we try to help them connect with other people.
Okay. So yeah, like if you were looking for someone with your company, the E-Women Network would know, and so you could refer them that way. Now, what about grants? I hear you give out grants.
Yeah, we do.
How does that work?
The E-Women Network has a foundation. It's a 501(c) nonprofit foundation, and it's an international grant foundation, so that each chapter across the United States earns money, and it goes to the national pot. And then we select our own local nonprofit that we can support. Okay. And our focus is women and children that need health and wellness solutions. So in the last couple years, our first grant went to Cincinnati Works. Beth Smith is the executive director, and we recently gave a grant to Pro Kids. Okay. And Pro Kids definitely needs our help with the foster children in this area needing that support, and it's been so in the news lately.
Well, and I mean, how do they find you? How does a person find you other than right here today? You're online? Can they call you? How do they reach you?
Well, we have a website, and that's the high-tech part of our business, and that's www.ewomenetwork.com. You go to the website, and that's the collection also of women across the United States. We have the world's largest photographic database of women in business. Okay. And so they can go into that website, they click on the map, you go to Cincinnati, and it shows all the events that we are part of. We do at least one event a month, and we've done one event a month steadily for the last 5 years.
Okay. And where's your next event?
Next event, Crone
Conservatory on Thursday morning, and Sandra Ambrose Clark from ESJ Carriers will be speaking, and she has an amazing story.
And
She owns a trucking company.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, women do everything.
So if there's a female truck driver out there that's looking for a job, maybe they come to this event and you never know what could happen.
You just don't know.
She owns a trucking company.
She does.
And what are some of the odd jobs, odd businesses that women own that you know probably would surprise people out there?
We have women that have their own pest control businesses. We have millionaire women who have their own printing companies, all the way through that startup business that's a woman just trying to figure it out, and she goes to her day job, and then at nighttime she's doing all these other little things trying to make her business happen.
Okay, boy, I mean, the E-Women Network seems like it's just a thing for women trying to get, started, and women who are already in the business.
That's right.
It can even help expand them. So that's great. Give the website and a phone number once again.
It's www.ewomenetwork.com. And if you would like to get in touch with us, you can call me at 932-9439. And that's a local call, 513-932-9439. And what we thought we would do, anyone who would like to come to the Crone Conservatory this Thursday morning, if they saw us on your show, we're going to give them a discount to come to this event.
Okay, all right. So all they have to do is mention
you.
Mention me,
Yes.
and then they get in free. What was the date on that again?
That is Thursday, July the 19th at 7:30 at the Crone Conservatory.
All righty. We'll take a quick break. I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you all. And I tell you, women out there, hopefully they were listening. If they want to get started, they need a grant or something, you can help them out with the E-Women Network.
Yes.
That's a great organization.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure your back is in pretty good shape with your husband being a chiropractor.
I'm well adjusted.
All right, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Lincoln.
We'll take a quick break and we'll come back and find out if you have lead in your household. If you do, we'll tell you how to get rid of it, and we'll show you how to identify lead in your house. We'll be back in just a moment. We're back. Lincoln Ware Live is the program. We're here every Sunday morning from 10 until 11. Coming up this week is none other than National Lead Awareness Week. And, a lot of the homes here in Cincinnati are very, very old. A lot of them still have lead paint there, and you've got kids running around. The kids maybe will touch the lead paint, put their hands in their mouths, and it could have some serious problems. So this week, National Lead Awareness Week, and we got some vacuum cleaners, we got some other instruments that will show you how you can detect whether you have lead in your house. And we've got some people from the health department with us today. And coming up later on in the show, my good friend Alicia Reese. Alicia Reese will be here to talk about Ohio State and the tourism project that's going on. We're trying to get people to come to Ohio, yes, and there's a lot of attractions here in Ohio for people to come and see. So hopefully we'll get that together. So Alicia Reese will be here near the end of the show to talk about some of the things she's doing with the state of Ohio. Bernadette Watson, you worked for the city quite a while. Of course, you were Mayor Lucan's chief of staff, and now you're with the health department. Tell us a little bit about the Lead Awareness Week that's coming up.
Good morning, Lincoln, and to your audience. Lead Awareness Week is coming up this week, starting Monday. We did have a pre-event yesterday where we had people to bring to building values information or their lead, chips from their home or toys or different things. And we were able to test those over on Gilbert Avenue, and I'm sure that went very well, and I know people came. But most of the information that we try to share, the health commissioner is really trying to get the information. You talk about lead poisoning, but we call our department lead poisoning prevention, because that's what we're trying to work toward, is preventing. Most of the information I have here with me our director of our program and the division from the Cincinnati Health Department, Rashmi Aparajit, who has really done a good job through all the trials and tribulations that we've gone through. But we're working through those, getting the data together, and I wanted to introduce to you Rashmi.
How are you?
Good, fine, thanks.
Good. Now, I know there's a lot of old houses here in Cincinnati, and I think the health department did get a grant some years ago from the government to get rid of the lead around the city. How's that coming?
That's actually through the Department of Community Development and Planning. So the health department wasn't really involved with the HUD grant, but we've recently applied for a HUD grant, and let's see how that goes. We'll probably know by early September or the end of September.
Okay, and so people who may live in a house with lead in there, what do they do? How do they find out if they have lead in their house?
Firstly, I just want to start out by saying, Lincoln, I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having us on the show. And the Cincinnati Health Department's commitment is to eliminate childhood lead poisoning by the year 2010. And we just have about 2.5 years to accomplish that huge goal. And I firmly believe it's accomplishable because we can collaborate, we can educate. It's about creating the awareness, and this is one of the channels to do that. And the buzzwords that I want people to know is, if you live in a house that's old, pre-1978, before 1978, look out and see if there's chipping, peeling paint. If it's intact, it's not a problem, but if it's chipping or peeling, you're going to get exposed to lead. Call your landlord. If you're the owner, call the Cincinnati Health Department. We are here to provide the resources. We're going to send you the information packets. If you're renovating, remodeling, if you have a young child at home, if your wife is pregnant, you need to call us.
What if you got one of these landlords that really, not even concerned about it, but you think there's a problem? What can people do if their landlord's not responsive?
Call your landlord. Tell him that there's chipping, peeling paint. I do not want to sign the lease. You need to fix that. Ask him to call the Cincinnati Health Department. Once a child is lead poisoned and is dwelling in that residence, we have to issue orders, and they have to get a licensed lead abatement contractor to do the work, and that can be fairly expensive. But if you already know there's chipping, peeling paint, call us. We'll provide all the resources for you. Fix it up.
Okay.
Right. Lincoln, I also want to share that as a public information officer, what I do, I have information and different packets of information, and as our other staff will come on, they will share some of the things that we have at the health department to assist to making sure that the children are tested appropriately, what we can do about taking care of our children, washing hands and being careful, and actually being healthy. And that's some of the things that we do at the health department. We talk about health and wellness, and all of that's a part of that. And Dr. Maseru was very, very interested in making sure that our citizens are safe.
What are the long-range effects of, children if they come in contact with this lead paint at an early age?
I'd be happy to share that with you, but I also have on staff my nurse, Charlotte Clinehouse, who's very proficient with the medical aspect, and she's going to be on next. So keep watching.
All right, great. That'll be great. Now, what are some of the other things the Cincinnati Health Department will be doing throughout the, even after Lead Poisoning Awareness Week is over? What are some of the things you do year-round?
That's a great question. I'm very proud of one of our newer programs. It's called the Early Intervention Program. And that focuses on kids who are lead poisoned, who actually have lead levels between 5 and 9 micrograms per deciliter. And research has shown that if a child has those levels, the low levels, eventually they will be lead poisoned. So we're kind of gearing towards primary prevention. We have 2 nurses who conduct home visits, educate the parents on prevention and the interim controls to protect the child or their siblings from getting lead poisoned. We also have our HEPA-VAC loan program. We have 12 specialized vacuums that have the capability of picking up about 0.3 microns of lead dust. So we welcome everyone to come avail of this opportunity. It's a $100 deposit that you actually get back. So you just take a check and then hand it right back.
You take the vacuum cleaner home and then you just vacuum. And do you look at what they vacuum up to see if anything's there?
No, we don't.
Okay, but this will get rid of the lead if there's any out there.
I wouldn't say it would get rid of the lead, but it would definitely reduce the risk. Wash the kids' hands often, wipe all the windowsills. We also see a trend spring, summer, and fall, we have peaks in lead poisoning because the windows are up, the kids are hanging out on the windowsills, they put their hands in their mouth called pica, and then that's when the lead poisoning begins.
Did we ever get a shot of that vacuum cleaner? And you say they can just come in and put a $100 deposit down?
Yes, actually Cynthia McCarthy is going to be on next, and she's going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, great, great. Well, that's great, and people need to really be aware because, and I'll talk to the nurse when she comes on, there's some devastating long-range effects on children from lead paint. So,
Yes.
And that's critical, and I guess that's why the government stepped in and say, hey, we got to clean this stuff up because, especially here in Cincinnati, in the over-the-Rhine area where some of those old houses are, and I mean, people really need to take this thing serious.
Right, because it affects our children's educational system, it affects the educational system because of the effects that it has, and it's very important for us to be aware of the things that affect our children's health.
All right.
And one quick thing, HUD data shows that there are more than 38 million homes in the United States that have lead-based paint.
Wow.
And more than 24 million actually have lead hazards in their house. And it's so difficult to actually go cleaning up all these millions of homes that have lead. But what we can do is be cautious, you know, learn more about it, know what you need to do to prevent yourself from getting lead poisoned.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk to the nurse to find out some of the effects. And maybe you can spot some of the effects that it's having on your children and things like that. So we'll talk to the nurse coming up in just a few minutes. Plus, we'll show you a new gadget that you can test lead chips with. It's something out of Star Wars. We'll show you that when we return right here on Lincoln Ware Live on It's 38. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey there, Andy Campbell and Mitch English from the Daily Buzz. Mitch, what you doing, bud?
Packing.
Okay, while he does that, we're going to show you how to pack like a pro on the next Daily Buzz.
It's on Cincinnati's 38 Monday.
There's nothing this crooked cop won't do to clean up the streets.
Mackey's not a cop. He's Al Capone with a badge.
But he's the one who can solve this case.
I'm giving you one chance to let me know where you're hiding at. I wish I could.
The Shield.
It's on Cincinnati's 38.
Would I lift your name on high?
The biggest selling praise and worship collection of all time is back. Presenting the Songs for Worship Special Edition on 2 CDs for just $19.99. Plus, you'll also get this free bonus CD. But wait, be one of the first 500 callers to order with your credit card, and we'll cut the price to just $9.99. Then, preview other great praise and worship CDs. Satisfaction guaranteed. So call now and get Songs for Worship on 3 CDs for just $9.99.
Call 1-800-772-0141 to order Songs for Worship Special Edition for $9.99 plus shipping when you use your credit card, or order online at timelife.com/worship.
Hey there, Andy Campbell and Mitch English from the Daily Buzz. Mitch, what you doing, bud?
Packing.
Okay, while he does that, we're going to show you how to pack like a pro on the next Daily Buzz.
It's on Cincinnati's 38 Monday.
And we're back live. Lincoln Ware Live is the program. Of course, we're here every Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, National Lead Awareness Week, Lead Paint Awareness Week, and we've got Cynthia McCarthy and Charlotte Clinehouse with us. And let's see, we've got some gadgets here, and on the last segment, I was asking about how can you tell if a child maybe has lead poisoning? Are there any signs that they give you, or?
No, and that's what's frightening. So much of the time, children don't show any definable symptoms. I mean, you can be a nurse and look at a child and say, oh, I've seen that rash before, you have chickenpox. You can't say that about lead poisoning. So many of the symptoms are vague. They might have a stomach ache, they might be lethargic, they might be crabby and irritable. if you get enough lead, there's going to be hearing loss, there's going to be speech and language deficits because of a hearing loss, there may be anemia, but if you think about it, these are also children who are so young that those same symptoms could be because they're two and they don't eat as well as you want them to. So it's a little hard to, it's difficult to say that this is a symptom of lead poisoning. It's kind of a backward look. You find out by a blood test. Let me give a plug now for next Saturday at the Price Hill Recreation Center on Hawthorne Avenue up in Price Hill. We're going to be giving free lead tests to kids in there from 9 until 2.
Okay.
I'll be there. I'll help you with paperwork.
And it's free? It's absolutely free?
It's free. We got some money from City Council, God bless them, to pull this off just for that Saturday as a part of Lead Awareness Week.
Okay. Now, you've got a gadget here. What is this gadget right here?
Oh, this is fabulous. This is an X-ray gun. Sounds like something from Star Wars. And what this can do is you just point it at any surface, pull the trigger, and it'll say whether there's lead paint.
Really?
Yes, present or not. This is just a great breakthrough in science because prior to this, we'd actually have to go in and gouge out paint chips or collect paint chips and send them to the laboratory. But we can tell on the spot. If you want to bring paint chips to the health department at 3101 Bernadette Avenue, bring them in a baggie for us, sealed. We can test them on the spot, let you know. If you want to bring a piece of jewelry, a plate, anything that
you just shoot that at it, and it'll tell you whether it's lead. Now, do you ever take this out to any houses?
Yes, we take this out in response to children who already have lead poisoning.
Oh, okay.
We take this into their environments to find out where the lead hazards are coming from.
Okay. And then you find it, and then you take care of the problem.
Yes.
And I guess you would know that. I guess the parents would probably take them into the hospital because they're sick or something, and then they find out it's lead poisoning, and that's when they would send you guys out.
Well, sort of. If your child is so lead poisoned that you end up in the hospital, that's one thing. But in the state of Ohio, there is a law that every child who is on Medicaid or any of the managed care programs that Medicaid is a portion of has to have a blood lead test at the age of 12 and again at 24 months. This is the hardest part for us to convince pediatricians and caregivers because it's in the county of Hamilton, just our own. About 43% of the children who are eligible for a blood lead test are being tested. That's appalling.
Yes.
Because that means more than half are not getting a lead test.
Well, why aren't the pediatricians testing them?
Pediatricians come from different backgrounds. Some of them were trained in New York, some were trained in Chicago. They take the rules that were from their training and bring them here. We want them to know that in the state of Ohio, the law is if they're on the Medicaid, they have to be tested, or if the child lives in a high-risk zip code. That's something that's determined at the Ohio Department of Health. I want everyone to know that every zip code in the city of Cincinnati is a high-risk zip code.
Really?
That means every child at the age of 12 and 24 months should at least be screened for it. In reality, that's not happening. We talked about the houses in over the Rhine being old and a bit. What about the houses in Hyde Park, Mount Lookout, Glendale? Beautiful old homes. But if you go to remodeling a home, you've got a problem with lead exposure because the houses were all built before 1978.
So it would behoove parents to make sure when you take your child to the doctor, say, I want him tested for lead.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Whether you think there's an issue with your house or not, at 12 months, they're just starting to be mobile. They crawl around. They have their pacifiers. They drop them. They pick them up and put them back in their mouths. They walk by the time they're 2. They put their hands on everything, and every child you've ever met puts things in their mouths. That's how they learn. They figure out what is that about by putting it in their mouths. The lead paint dust goes right down. They're poisoned in their own homes.
Wow.
And that's the part that's scary, when the house could be fixed.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
It's preventable.
This is a great invention here.
This is. And I'd like to talk about this little pamphlet for a moment.
Yes.
This is a pamphlet that anyone who is renting in a home that's older than 1978, you should have received this from your landlord. And it's just an invaluable pamphlet. We have them at the health department if you've never seen it before. And it just gives some ideas about how to protect yourself. Because even if you are living in a deteriorated condition, there's steps you can take to protect yourself in the meantime until the repairs are made.
And if you didn't receive one of those, how can they get one?
Come to the health department, call the health department. The lead poisoning prevention program is 357-7420. We'd be happy to send this out to you. Another really great pamphlet that we have is for the homeowners, and this is on doing lead-safe work in your home. So 93% of the homes in Cincinnati are built before 1978 and have the chance of having lead-based paint. So we want to make sure that before you start working, you get yourself educated.
All right, let's go to the telephones. I believe we've got Patricia. Patricia, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Pretty good. You have a question?
I have a question. It's not about that lead. It's very important, though. I'm suffering with bed bugs really, really bad. And they're telling me there's an epidemic in my neighborhood. What can I do about it? Because I've thrown away all my furniture.
Okay. We'll see if the nurse can at least guide you in the right direction for that.
Actually, I can.
Thanks.
I can tell.
Hang up and listen to the answer. Thanks.
Okay.
Hello, Patricia. I really feel for you because it is a blossoming problem in Cincinnati. And you've done the right thing by getting rid of your furniture. You may even have to get rid of your carpets. At this point, you're probably going to have to call a licensed pest control operator because all of the products that you can buy over the counter are not going to touch those bed bugs.
Gee.
No.
And you mean you have to go as far as getting rid of your furniture?
You really do.
Gee.
You really do. You need to destroy the furniture. You don't want anybody picking it up off the curb because they'll take them home. Then, for those of you who don't have bed bugs yet, this is something you can pick up on your pants legs, on your clothing, in your luggage. When you stay in a hotel, you might actually want to look at your mattress and check along the seams of your mattress for these little bugs. They're about the size of an apple seed, and they're brown.
Boy. And that's, you know, I did see some news report about the bed bug problem here in Cincinnati. So that could be a real issue. Now, what else do you have? You've got some...
I have some props, too.
Okay.
This is a video. It is not available as a DVD, but it's called Lead Away, and it's a Sesame Street product. We usually give it away to places that have children who would be waiting. So think about WIC offices, pediatricians' offices, JFS offices have them, and we'll give them away to any pediatrician or place that wants them. The health department has them running, and it's a short film, but it teaches children about what to stay away from if they have lead in their environment. We are giving away pacifiers at the health department right now too. That is part of our Lead Awareness Week, and these pacifiers come with a protective clip so that if a child, if you're going out the door with baby and you know when he wakes up he's going to want, take your clip with you to keep the lead poisoning out, keep the lead dust out of it. These are available, and we've got a lot of them to give away free. My last one is a pamphlet for parents, lead poisoning in your children. Even if you don't have a child who's lead poisoned, you'll know someone sooner or later who has a lead poisoned child. It's appalling, it's in our community, and it needs to be remedied. In this community, a friend of mine recently said, lead poisoning is like the elephant in the living room. No one wants to say it's there. But if you're going to remodel or revamp a house in any way, shape, or form, and that house was built before '78, the probability that there's lead there is great.
And the good thing, you can gather up some of the chips and take them into the health department
and know for sure.
Let you guys scan them or do whatever it is you do with that gun there to find out, hey, is it safe or not? And that's key.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There are some other sources of lead poisoning that we have seen, and we find this troubling as well. They're not the greatest source, but they are there. Children's jewelry. You see a lot of that stuff. You put a little quarter in the machine and the little claw arm goes over and picks. The chains on those are lead. They come with little hearts and butterflies and four-leaf clovers and things. Those are frequently lead that just got a little bit of paint on them. And you've seen kids do this. They pick this chain up and they go back and forth in their mouth. Or they put that's a source of lead poisoning.
And then a lot of these toys coming in from China.
They're all coming in from China.
Yeah, they're all coming in from China. And so
no consumer protection agency there.
Well, you can bring those toys in and we can test them for you.
All right. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Steve. Steve, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, Lincoln. How are you?
Pretty good. You have a question?
No, not really a question. More or less just my feelings in a statement. I think we got to point out that this lead's been around forever. Everybody sitting at this table and me have all been raised around lead. And this recently instilled hysteria about the lead poisoning can only be cured by watching your kids. I guess my parents, your parents, and the parents of the women sitting there weren't allowed to chew on the woodwork or to lick off the floor. And with a little bit of common sense, I think we can all worry about the lead base a little less. I mean, the lead's been around forever, and you were raised in a house full of lead paint. I was raised in a house with lead paint. And all we have to do is use a little common sense with our children. We don't need to have hordes of people coming out there x-raying our walls. What there's lead paint.
Well, I don't think it's, you know, it's to that point. If you think you might live in a house, you want to be safe, so naturally you would take any precaution that you could to make sure your family is safe from lead poisoning.
But I don't think it's the government's position, or should be, to go in there and instill this on landlords. Go down to housing court. There are people there because their house was painted with lead paint. Now, to cure the lead paint, all you got to do is paint over it. I wonder if that little machine x-rays through the painted latex paint over the red paint.
I don't know. We'll find out. Does it?
Yes, it does.
She says yes.
And I'd love to address some of his concerns.
Sure.
So even though the landlord went to all the trouble of painting every little spot that had lead paint on it, you come out with the x-ray machine, and all of a sudden it's, well, hey, the lead's still there.
Yeah, but it's
Even
okay
though
as long as if it's painted over, then you're safe. Is that correct?
That's
Thanks for your call.
Yeah, I'd like to address it.
Go ahead.
The only time we come out with the machine, except if someone has requested it, is if a child already has lead poisoning. And if the paint is intact, if it's flat and not peeling or chipping, that's also fine. Yeah. And I'd like to address that the lead-based paint stopped going on the walls in 1978, and that was 30 years ago. So we've had 30 years longer for this paint to begin to deteriorate. We've had neighborhoods that have begun to deteriorate. And again, I don't want to instill panic at all. What we're here to do is to educate, let people know there are things within their very own power to do to protect their children. That's the most important thing.
You had a comment, Safe Light?
I think that it's not a panic and that landlords shouldn't be concerned if their properties are in good condition. It's the deterioration and it's in the dust. It's not like children chew on woodwork or lick the floor. I don't think
Sounds like
kids
Steve
do
was
that.
a landlord. And,
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
not passing judgment. But, you know, if children crawl on the floor, and who doesn't have a child who's crawled on the floor? All of them do. And if you don't do that, you've got other problems later. If they need that exercise. Well, crawling on the floor, if there's deteriorating paint, it's just in the dust. It gets in the ridges of their nails, it gets under their nails, and they put their hands in their mouths.
And it gets into the bloodstream.
And that fast. And it does so much damage. We had talked about a little bit of what the symptoms might be, but maybe what you should tell is the effects. Lead levels, as they go up, create so many problems in children. The biggest problem is when it settles in the central nervous system, brains and nerves. It reduces the IQ of that child.
Learning disability.
Learning, not just disabilities, permanent loss of ability to do things in school. There's troubled children in school. They can't figure out how to read. Maybe they knew more in the first grade than they do in the second grade because they lose that ability. The other thing that's a big problem is aggression. As a child has a greater problem with lead poisoning, aggression is part of what they do if they can't help themselves. Well, think about what our crime rate is right now. Aggression in the younger and younger teen. If that child was lead poisoned, there may be things that he cannot control. He does not have behavior controls in his own brain because the lead blocked that.
That's a good point. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Anna. Anna, good morning. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good.
I'm calling regarding on mold around the walls.
Yeah.
And I know that when I lived into my other place, that I had mold around the walls. And I wanted to know a little bit about the mold because my landlord told me in order to get rid of it, she said all you have to do is wash it down with bleach or take some vinegar and wash it down to the point where after you wash it down, she said the only thing you have to do is take paint and repaint it over again and it would go away. And it was like I've been in this house for 4.5, almost 5 years. And it's like I go through the mold and everything. I pull the dresses and everything out. And it's like I'm constantly having mold into the house.
Okay.
And I have like a 2-year-old baby in there.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Well, let's see if we can address that. I don't know how up you are on the mold.
It's yours.
You know, what's kind of interesting is that lead-based paint does not support mold, which is why lead-based paint was used in bathrooms and kitchens quite a bit. But the biggest problem you're having there is that you're not finding the source of the moisture. Mold only grows in a moist environment. You're doing all the right steps to get rid of the mold, but to keep it from coming back, you're going to have to improve your ventilation. You're going to have to open a window. You're going to have to add a fan, a ventilation fan.
Dehumidifier, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, we need to take a quick break, and we'll come back and take your calls right here, 513-381-3838. That's the number. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back and wrap things up right here on Lincoln Ware Live. Back in a moment. And we're back. Cynthia, McCarthy, Charlotte Clinehouse. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, I got you. And we're talking about Lead Poison Awareness Week all over the country. Right here in Cincinnati, we're doing a lot. Now, we talked about this vacuum cleaner earlier, and we want to get a shot of it. And you can just put a $100 deposit down, and you can take this vacuum cleaner home and just vacuum your entire house if you think maybe there's been some lead paint exposure. Can we get a shot of that vacuum cleaner?
Yeah, can I talk a little bit about it while you're looking at it?
Go ahead.
What's different about this sweeper than your sweeper you might have at home is that it has a special bag, and it's a special way it's built. Yes. Your vacuum at home, as you vacuum, will take lead dust up and allow it to go through the bag and back out the exhaust. So it could even spread lead. This particular machine is industrial strength. Everything that gets sucked in stays in.
Okay.
We have 12 of these. This can make an enormous difference in the lead hazards in your home just by using this sweeper in your window wells, window sills, and floors.
All right, I tell you. So, and you get the $100 back.
Absolutely.
And just a deposit to, okay, so that's great. And they can come to the health department to get this?
Yes, you'd have to come down to 3101 Bernadette Avenue. It's up in close to University Hospital at the corner of Bernadette and Martin Luther King Drive.
All right. Let's go to the telephones. I think Michelle is up next. Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Yes. Hi, Lincoln Ware.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
That's good.
I called to ask a question about the lead. I stay in a high-rise building, and they recently, a few years ago, had sandblasted the outside of the building. And what I'm wondering is if that was lead paint.
That's a good question.
It depends on how old your building is, but it's entirely possible that it was.
Okay, because a lot of times I went to sleep, and cracked my window at night, then I woke up and they were already out there sandblasting, and I have asthma.
What's the building?
It's Park Eden.
Park Eden.
It's Park Eden on William Howard Chapman Park.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And my breathing, I've noticed my breathing has gotten worse, and I want to know, how does lead affect the grown people?
Yeah.
The adults, I hear talking about the children, but I think after a long period of time, wouldn't it bother the adults too?
Well, the next time she goes to the doctor, maybe she should ask for a blood test.
Lead does affect adults.
Thanks for your call.
Lead does affect adults. Usually an adult will pick up a lead level if it's in their job. That's the other way that children get it, is dad or mom has a job in which they're exposed to lead and it comes home on their clothing. And that's what we call that take-home lead, and that's not a good choice. But for an adult, it takes a little bit higher level because adults don't pick it up. Adults pick up about 5 to 15% of the lead they're exposed to. Children pick up as much as 50% of the lead they're exposed to because they have more receptors. They're growing hard. And an adult, there are problems with it. It would not work with her. She does have asthma, and it may give her the coughing fit that starts the asthma attack. But lead does not settle in the lungs. It goes right on through to the circulatory system. So it does not have a pulmonary effect that I am aware of at this point. She might have other things in her environment. And Cincinnati is a high asthma region, very high. And so I can't say that I'm surprised there's an adult in our area with asthma, but I can't say that it's a lead problem.
All right, let's go to Jerome. Jerome, real quick, what's your question?
Well, she just answered my question.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Well, thanks for your call. How about that? Kill two birds with one stone. Let's go to our final caller, Barbara. Barbara, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
Pretty good.
I wanted to say something about the landlord that called.
Well, I just guessed that he sounded like he could be a landlord. What he was,
more like a slumlord. If he had a family member that had lead poisoning, then he would know what it was like. I have a little brother who got lead poisoning from buildings downtown when he was little, and for the first 3 years he was normal. 4 to 5 up, he became worse and worse of being mentally retarded. Now he's completely retarded and relying on the government to live.
Wow. And that was all due to lead poisoning?
Yes.
That's one of the things that is also frightening, and that you need to know that if a child gets this bad enough and it is not controlled and the exposure taken away, they continue to get it, the problem gets continually worse. You can start out normal and end up, as she said, an adult who's mentally retarded. Think about your public dollar, your tax dollar. Where does that go? This person has to have Social Security disability. They cannot perform as an adult. Maybe didn't get through school. If school performance suffers and then they can't get a job, what else do they have in their lives? That man thinks that lead poisoning isn't such a big deal, but if it's your child and the child who starts out normal and capable with love and food, they ought to blossom into a wonderful human being. But if this cuts short their ability to take care of themselves as an adult, the public dollar has to step in and do that. How's that right? You know, this child didn't deserve this. I think that all adults, whether you have a child or not, if you want a future without the level of crime we've got now and without the public dollar being necessary for these people's lives, you need to know that lead poisoning is one way to reduce those costs.
Give out some phone numbers before we go, phone numbers where they can rent the vacuum cleaner or get the lead tested.
Yeah, phone number is 357-7420. That's the number for our inspectors. Bring your paint chips down to 3101 Burnett Avenue. It's also where you would come to get the sweeper. And then Charlotte.
I do lead education. I have 27 counties to cover. It's a grant out of Ohio Department of Health. But if you want an education for any group that you have, I'm available to do that. Call the same number, or mine is 357-7424. And it's also has CEUs attached for nurses. So if you have a nurse group like in a hospital that deals with children or pregnant women or postpartum, I can come and give a presentation. It's about an hour, and pediatricians' offices should definitely know about this, because it's almost always the nurses in the pediatrician's office who tag that chart to say, hey, this child is this age, let's get these things in. Along with immunizations, you need, blood tests, and that's a good thing.
I have one more presentation as well that I give to parent groups, PTAs, any kind of a parent group, any kind of a home ownership group. It's on recognizing lead hazards and controlling lead hazards in your home.
All right, I want to thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
And if you didn't get those numbers, just call information for the Cincinnati Health Department and tell them you want the lead program, and they'll connect you with the right people. Thank you for joining me, and good luck in getting rid of this lead-based paint in Cincinnati.
Thank you so much for having us.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with Alicia Reese to talk about tourism in Ohio. Alicia Reese is my guest next. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and hear what you have to say right here on Lincoln Ware Live, back in a moment. And we're back live. Lincoln Ware Live is the program. My guest, this next segment, Alicia Reese. How you doing, Alicia?
Doing wonderful.
Former vice mayor. Now you're up in Columbus with the big shots, working for Ted Strickland. And you're the assistant director for the tourism, Ohio Tourism.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
State assistant director of tourism for Ohio.
For Ohio. Now, tell us a little bit about the tourism budget. I know we're trying to get people to come to Ohio.
Absolutely.
So what's going on there? I mean, are they really spending the money to lure people in?
Well, we have, thanks to our Governor Strickland and our Lieutenant Governor and the state legislature, we have the largest budget that we've had in a very long time, which puts us in a good position to be able to compete with the Michigans. We're not where Michigan is in terms of what they spend, or Pennsylvania, but we're able to be competitive. So when you look at our budget this year and next year, we have about a $5.5 million increase. Okay. So the state legislature understands that tourism has to be an economic driver, and we have to be competitive with the different states that surround us and are taking our tourists, and they're spending money in those other states. So we're going to be very, very competitive. We've got, with myself, we have a new director, Amir Elon, who comes from the Ohio Lodging Association and has an extensive background in the industry. And so the Lieutenant Governor, which is leading the whole department, has said that tourism has to be a major focus. We've got to get folks into Ohio, and we also have to get people from one part of the state to look at the other part of the state as travel options, and to spend that money, let the money spend at least 3 times before it leaves the state.
Now, what do you tell people? You had an ad in USA Today.
Yes.
So what do you tell people from outside the state? What do you tell them to convince them to come in? What did that ad say?
Well, that was my first ad. I joined the team on May 15th, and the Cavaliers, obviously, you know, they were the Eastern Conference champions for NBA. And so we thought with all the national, international media and all the NBA fans, it was important for us to make a big stand about what Ohio has to offer. But I mean, we have a variety of like everything. I mean, everything from, you have the theme parks if you want to do that with your kids. We have fishing. I mean, sport fishing is huge in Ohio. We have, you know, the islands. So we have everything, the beaches. We have all these different things. But the problem is if you're in Southwest Ohio, you have no clue what's in Northern Ohio. If you're in Northern Ohio, you have no clue what's in South Ohio. There's a lot of folks that are very interested in our cultural and heritage. So whether it's Underground Railroad sites or the Underground Railroad Freedom Center, or whether it's the Amish community and they want to go and experience that. So from a cultural standpoint, we have that to offer as well. And then we've got exciting events, whether it's the Macy's Music Festival or our number of Latino festivals that we have going on throughout the state. We've got a lot to offer, but we just don't do a great job of marketing it. And I'll tell you, with this new administration, we're going to do that.
So that's about to change. Now, you'll be featured in Jet Magazine coming up next week, I believe. What's that all about?
Well, Jet Magazine contacted our offices and wanted to do a story about my position. And so they'll be doing a feature in Jet Magazine July 23rd. I think it's the 23rd through the 27th. So we're excited about that. So a lot of people around the country are looking at our travel division and our tourism division and kind of saying, hey, there's some changes that are happening. There's more diversity. In all of our ads, you're going to see in that USA Today ad, you see more diversity. So you're going to see the diversity that represents the diversity of our citizens within Ohio.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot of time. You're having a big scholarship roller skating party coming up in August.
Yeah, you know, I do that every year. I've been doing it for about 10 years. Give a scholarship away. It's going to be the first Saturday in August. It'll be at the Skate Town in Westchester, and we have
skaters from all over the country.
Skaters from all over the country come.
You're bringing people.
Yeah, I'll be passing out some of our guides there to make sure that they're there. But that's something that I fund personally, and I give away a scholarship. It's going to be midnight to 5 a.m. And so people who want to get information on that, they can go email me at reecetalk, REECETALK at AOL.com.
Now. If people, if a family's having a family reunion locally, they can get information to pass out to the family. Give that number real quick, how they can get that.
They can contact me at 614-995-4233, and we pay for the shipping. We'll get you the travel guides and our niche guides, and we'll get those to you. A couple people have already called me from Cincinnati, and we'll get that going. And last but not least, RFPs. If you're interested in doing business with tourism, we've got all our contracts out for bid. You can give me a call, and I'll give you the Ross leader, the person you need to register with.
Thank you, Alicia Reese.
Thanks
for coming
me.
out, checking us out this morning. Appreciate it. Good job. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and wrap things up right here on Lincoln Ware Live. We'll be back in a moment. Thank you again, Alicia Reese. We're back, and today coming up at noon, right here on It's 38, Family Secrets, starring Angela Jones and Tim Redwine, and a rebroadcast of this show tonight at 8 o'clock on Channel 25 WOTH. Make sure you check that out. And following the rebroadcast of this show on 25, Sacred Hearts, starring Kelly Fritz. That's at 9 o'clock tonight on WOTH Channel 25. Don't forget, check me out Monday through Friday from 10 till 1 on 1230 The Buzz.